Hello and welcome. I am Pranay Upadhayay and you are watching Namaste World, your daily window into the biggest stories shaping India and the world. We begin in North Africa. Darfur in Sudan bleeds again as Al-Fashar falls, another genocide unfolds while the world watches in silence. Across the border, Pakistan's new Hungar-class submarine promises power, but behind the hull lies China's deepening control of its navy. Back in States, America's government shutdown hits 35th day, airports in chaos, billions lost, and no sign of a political breakthrough. But the biggest news of the day is New York's mayoral race heats up as Zohran Mamdani faces a fierce challenge from Andrew Cuomo and unexpected twist from Trump. All that and more, global flashpoints, power plays, and the stories that matters coming up in this edition of Namaste World. The ongoing US government shutdown is all set to make a new record this time. Amid political slugfest at the Capitol, the shutdown has already entered 35th day, and common Americans are feeling the pain. American airports are already in chaos. Millions of passengers are getting affected. Air traffic controllers and TSA personnel are working without paychecks, and the services are getting disrupted. In a social media post, White House acknowledged that more than 5,000 flights are disrupted on Sunday, but blamed Democratic Party for the shutdown. US Transport Secretary Sean Duffy warned passengers for more delays and disruptions. But he said, "We won't fly if unsafe." So American air travelers have to be ready for big delays. Chicago, Denver, Houston, Newark, all jammed. Queues for the TSA, Transport Security Authority checks have gone longer at various airports. According to an estimate, US economy has lost over $14 billion, and with delayed resolution, the figure is mounting. A political storm is brewing in New York City. The latest Atlas Intel poll shows Democratic frontrunner Zohran Mamdani is leading with 43.9%. But former Governor Andrew Cuomo is closing in fast with 39.4%, and the gap is shrinking by the day. Once thought untouchable, Mamdani, a self-described democratic socialist, now faces pressure from all the sides. And yes, even from President Donald Trump, who has thrown a surprising curveball into the race. Trump, of all people, has urged New Yorkers to vote for Cuomo, calling him the lesser evil compared to Mamdani, whom he falsely branded as communist. And while Trump's words stirred controversy, Cuomo brushed it off, saying he is not endorsing me, he is opposing Mamdani. Meanwhile, former President Barack Obama stayed silent, refusing to endorse Mamdani despite a personal phone call, a silence that political insiders say speaks volume about democratic unease. At 34, Zohran Mamdani could become New York's first Muslim mayor, promising rent freezes, free buses, and higher taxes on the richest. But critics call his vision unrealistic and risky. As Trump, Cuomo, and even Musk weigh in, this race has become more than a mayoral contest. It's a referendum on America's political future. So will New York choose the socialist reformer, the comeback governor, or the conservative challenger? The city decides, and the world is watching. Sudan's Darfur is once again drowning in blood. The Rapid Support Force have seized Al-Fashar, turning hospital into killing field and neighborhood into graves. With over 150,000 dead and global powers staying silent, the world watches as another genocide unfolds. How many more lives must be lost before humanity intervenes? Here is a report by Farhan Khan.
What happens when the world watches a genocide unfold in real time and still looks away? That's what's happening right now in Sudan's Darfur region, where the city of Al-Fashar has fallen to the Rapid Support Forces, a brutal militia whose crimes are so horrifying that blood stains from their massacres can literally be seen from space.
The RSF was clearly keen to take Al-Fashar, I think, for numerous reasons. One of those reasons is definitely that it improves their military position in Sudan, which also improves their negotiating position in any peace talks. But I think the focus on Al-Fashar was for a number of strategic reasons, including the political leverage it would give them. So yes, because they now would control more of Sudan, it will probably increase their confidence at the negotiating table and harden their demands at the negotiating table.
Al-Fashir was the Sudanese military's last stronghold in Darfur. For months, it was besieged by the RSF, which blocked food, water and medicine, starving hundreds of thousands trapped inside. When the city finally fell last week, the RSF began what witnesses describe as an orgy of killing. Nearly 500 people were slaughtered inside one maternity hospital alone, including patients, families and children. Satellite images show blood-red soil where the killings took place.
Al-Fashir was really the last pocket that was complicating a broader split that was RSF controlling most of Western Sudan and the army and the Port Sudan government controlling most of Central Sudan and Eastern Sudan. And this battle had been going on for over a year. It was the last army stronghold in Darfur, and now RSF controls, they already controlled most of Darfur, but now the last army stronghold has been pushed out. There are other groups there, some against the RSF, some neutral, some with the RSF. But the army now effectively only controls areas further to the east in the country.
The RSF isn't some ragtag militia. It's a war machine born from the infamous Janjaweed, the death squads that carried out Darfur's genocide 20 years ago. But today, they are even deadlier, armed with drones, machine gun trucks, and foreign funding. Their motto? No mercy. Videos show commanders telling civilians exactly that before shooting them. To understand how Sudan reached this point, rewind to 2019, when a popular revolution toppled longtime dictator Omar al-Bashir. In the chaos that followed, the Sudanese armed forces and the RSF ruled together in a fragile power-sharing deal, until they turned on each other in April 2023. What followed wasn't a civil war. It was a fight between two heavily armed armies with deep pockets and foreign backers. Since then, more than 150,000 people have been killed and millions displaced. The RSF has used Darfur as its killing ground, ethnically targeting non-Arab communities, the same pattern of slaughter seen in the early 2000s. Just months ago, RSF fighters stormed Sudan's largest displacement camp and massacred hundreds along ethnic lines.
Tens of thousands have left Al-Fashir, have fled. But there are many tens of thousands more that we assume are still in Al-Fashir and have no access to food, water, or medical assistance that they need very urgently. You have to bear in mind that most of the health system in Sudan has collapsed, and definitely not in Darfur. So whilst people are being wounded, there's no means to treat them.
And behind this carnage lurks a powerful enabler, the United Arab Emirates. The RSF fought in Yemen as a UAE proxy, and now, according to multiple reports, Abu Dhabi is flooding the group with money, weapons and drones. The UAE gets cheap Sudanese gold and a strategic foothold in Africa. It's blood for business. Western powers, including the UK and US, know this, and yet they stay silent. Reports say British officials even try to stop African diplomats from criticizing the UAE's role. Meanwhile, British-made weapons have been spotted on RSF battlefields. The world calls Sudan's war a forgotten conflict, but it's not forgotten, it's ignored. The horror is happening in broad daylight, visible from satellites and phones, with evidence piling up by the hour. The question now isn't whether the world knows, it's whether anyone still cares. Because right now, in Al-Fashir, a city once full of life is being turned into a graveyard. The blood-soaked soil of Sudan is a reminder that when geopolitics trumps humanity, entire nations can bleed out, and no one moves to stop it. With Farhan Khan, Bureau Report, India Today Global.
Pakistan calls it a milestone. The Chinese-built Hangor-class submarine, hailed as a game-changer for the Navy. But beneath the shiny steel lies Beijing's growing control over Pakistan's defense, as China anchors itself deeper into the Indian Ocean Sea through Karachi. One question remains: who really is steering Pakistan's submarine strategy? Here is a report by Jyoti Shukla.
They call it a game changer. Islamabad says the Chinese-built Hangor-class submarine will restore balance in the Indian Ocean. But let's be honest, this is less about military balance and more about Beijing tightening its grip on Pakistan's defense system. Under a $5 billion deal with China, Pakistan's getting 8 Hangor-class subs by 2028. 4 made in China, 4 assembled in Karachi. Beijing makes the hardware, Pakistan just screws on the nameplate. Even the Pakistan Navy Chief Admiral Naveed Ashraf told China's Global Times that the project is progressing smoothly. Smoothly for China's influence, that is. These submarines are based on China's Type 039A Yuan-class diesel-electric air-independent propulsion, stealthy on paper. They can stay underwater for almost 20 days. Each can launch both torpedoes and Babur 3 cruise missiles up to 450 kilometers away. And guess what name they picked? Hangor, the same submarine that sank INS Kukri back in 1971. A dose of nostalgia to hide a dose of dependency. Now, Pakistan claims this will help it patrol deeper into the Arabian Sea. Sounds impressive until you see the math. India's Navy operates nearly 300 ships, 2 aircraft carriers and 18 submarines. Pakistan, barely 120 vessels and 8 subs, including those that haven't even arrived yet. The Hangor class might look sleek, but capability isn't built overnight. With so much Chinese software, maintenance and spare parts, each sub is basically a floating reminder of Beijing's control. It's meant to project China's presence in the Indian Ocean as much as Pakistan's. And China is already setting the stage, from Gwadar port under CPEC to surveillance posts across the Bay of Bengal, all under the polite label of economic cooperation. But everyone sees what this really is, a strategic encirclement. So should India be worried? Concerned? Yes. Surprised? No. These subs could help Pakistan shadow Indian movements or relay intel to the PLA Navy. They might even host Chinese underwater drones or AI-driven spying systems. But here's the catch. India already has an answer for that. P-8I Poseidon aircraft patrol our sea lanes 24/7, tracking submarine trails long before they surface. Maritime satellites and underwater sensors knit a real-time surveillance web. Even before a Hangor leaves Karachi, India's systems can mark, monitor, and if needed, neutralize. And while Pakistan is importing naval muscle, India is building its own. Kalvari-class Scorpene subs are faster, more agile, and are soon to get indigenous AIP upgrades. Meanwhile, INS Vishal, India's next aircraft carrier, will extend India's reach across both ends of the Indian Ocean. The irony: Pakistan says this is self-reliance. But when half your fleet depends on another country's toolkit, it's more like rented deterrence. For China, this is just another foothold under the Belt and Road umbrella, a strategic anchor in the Arabian Sea. For India, it's a reminder to stay alert but not alarmed. Because the Hangor class might dive deep, but it can't close the depth of India's maritime dominance. With Jyoti Shukla, Bureau Report, India Today Global.
As we wrap up today's show, here is a quick look at the top stories making waves around the world. Cylinder blast in Pakistan's Supreme Court basement, 12 injured. Seven climbers dead after Nepal's avalanche. 2 dead as Typhoon Kalmagi brings massive flooding in central Philippines. From breakthroughs in technology and businesses to political developments and natural disasters, stay tuned as we bring you the latest update, key developments, and everything you need to know all in one place. That's all for now. See you again tomorrow at the same time on Namaste World.
Sudan.